everyone, it's me Jenny, and hey look, I'm in front of the bookcase which is horribly disorganised. But I literally just got in from watching Star Wars The Force Awakens, literally this second, like I'm still wearing my coat, let's just do that. And I haven't even taken off my shoes yet, so there we go. And yeah, so for a review, it's not really going to be a review, it's just going to be my first impression, like, spew thoughts. I'll try and keep it spoiler free, but I'm going to give a spoiler warning just in case anything slips out while I'm doing it, because, you know, I do one takes for these things, because that's how I do. And yeah, it's just going to be basically a spewing of thoughts. It's not going to be a coherent review. I definitely feel like in order to do a coherent review, I need to watch this at least once or twice and have time to digest in between, but I've literally had my journey home, and here I am sitting in front of my bookcase talking to a camera. So, with that out of the way, my thoughts on this film. This film ticked so many boxes. It definitely fulfilled all of the criteria, which was highly concerning. I think it appealed to the fan service without going too far in the wrong direction. It was a story in its own right while still being able to put it in the context of the overall story. It did one of the things that's really, it was missing from the prequels, which was it took homages in terms of thematic concepts and archetypes and set pieces, and took those archetypes and did something similarly as an homage but not a direct reference, and that creates a kind of fairy tale linearism between the old school, the good trilogy, the bad trilogy, and this news trilogy. I definitely feel like there is a level of understanding and empathy which J.J. Abrams put into this, which is so well done. That being said, I did feel like quite a lot of the time there was a sort of a lot of slightly tongue-in-cheek things, like a stormtrooper type character making regular references to getting good at shooting or suddenly being good at shooting, and right off the bat, when the first time you see stormtroopers, one of the first things you have is they come out and then someone gets shot. So there's a lot of little things like that where you're like, you're ticking that box, J.J. Abrams, so the fans actually get those questions answered. It's right out the bat. It's, you know, sharp, snappy, ticking those boxes so that, you know, any, like, plot holes, any big sort of, oh, say what moments are just snapped in the bud. It's very cleverly done, because there is so much that the fans had disappointment with the original trilogy, with the prequels, that really getting in and kind of anticipating and jumping to the butt with a lot of the sort of problematic aspects was really well done. It was slightly jarring as someone who was, you know, there's been so much hype about this film, it's impossible to make it a perfect film, but given the fact that you could come into this film as a fan and you get those moments where you're like, well, that was a reference to something that was bad in the previous films, but I don't care because it's still good and moving on. It's very snappy, very clean, very well done. The set pieces in this are phenomenal, and I'll give points. When I was watching The Hobbit, I felt the sets were green screen. I just couldn't find a reality in that location. I was just like, well, there's nothing behind these actors. While these ones, I know one or two of the sets were completely digital, but for the most part I was thinking, I was in the moment, I was in the environment. I didn't get taken out for any of the backdrops, and the scenic environments and the different environments were so well done. I'm slightly confused as to the final planet having snow and trees, but I suppose if it has an atmosphere of its own, it's been built up for so long, or maybe it was a planet that was carved. I don't really know how that one works, but either way, just the way that they jump between different environments. They had kind of the glossy green tree planet, which I believe was shot in Wales. It's got the, you know, desert planet. There's very different environments. The set pieces are beautiful. The sets in general are gorgeous. The costumes were really well handled, where you have, again, enough kind of recognisable themes, like the leather jackets outfits and, you know, the slightly silly sci-fi outfits, but enough kind of logic that you can go into it pretty well. I really like the main character's costume. I've got the feeling that's going to be one of the big cosplay. In fact, all of the Star Wars characters are going to have cosplays down to the T for the next couple of Comic-Cons. It's going to be all over the place, but I did really like the costumes. I like how they work with the way that the character, obviously it showed a lot about the characters. It's very clear who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. There's a lot of movement built into the costumes, so when the action sequence happens, you can really see things happening. They're practical, which is a good start, and they show a lot about the characters, which I always appreciate with costumes, when you can have practicality and information and character all rolled into one, as well as it being physically and psychologically pleasing. I like that J.J. Abrams didn't J.J. Abrams all over the place. There was a lot more homages to classics Star Wars and a lot less homages to previous J.J. Abrams work, which is something that I was slightly nervous about. I didn't feel the overwhelming sense of lens flares. I didn't get scared by a giant floaty red dot. I didn't feel like he overtook the source material with his directorial style, but I did really feel like there was a new voice in these. There was still the pans, whatever it is, slide transitions and stuff like that, but they were done subtly enough so that it just felt part of, you know, this is the film we're going to see. I also feel like there was a lot of, like, the way that it's worth seeing in the cinema just for the way that the Force effects happens, because they've never done the Force from a place of actually being affected by it. You see people flying left, right, centre, but you don't ever actually feel what one would feel under the pressure of the Force, and it's pressurizing, and the way that they build that up, the tension is so well done, and it's terrifying, and it really puts you into the place of someone who's experiencing Force powers being pushed upon them, and someone who's using Force powers for the first time, and that's never been done in any of the films as far as I know, and I thought it was really, really well done. It's worth seeing in cinema just for the surround sound, because it's claustrophobic, and it's very, very powerful, and that's very impressive to me. In terms of the overall story, the story is pretty simple, which is good. My sister leaned over to me while I was watching this and said, right at the start when the scrolling was going on, she's like, this sounds like the blurb to a children's book, and it always has been. It always has been a relatively simplistic story with a lot of heart, a lot of soul, and a lot of characters, and by I mean a lot of character, I mean a few characters who have a lot of character, and I feel like that was definitely succeeded in this. The characters who came back, you feel like they're definitely not caricatures of the characters, but they still had fun with the roles, they still had fun in the universe. It was good to see them back. It didn't feel like too painful, like when you see old actors come back into the same role and you're like, oh, it didn't feel like that. You felt like it was good passing on to the next generation. The final scene was very well built up, the music was phenomenal, and I'm interested to see what will happen next in that franchise. They left it in such an open-ended story where they've developed a lot of things, they've left a lot of loose ends. While making a complete story, they've left a lot of loose ends for the next couple of films, and so they've got a real place to go from here, which is really well done. There wasn't really, I was thinking about it, and it's definitely a side effect to having watched the prequels as well as the main films. There wasn't really any Force acrobatics, which is not something that I really ever wanted or really ever needed, but it definitely felt like this is a very, very baseline Force. This is untrained people using the Force. There isn't too much, you know, jumping 10 foot out of carbonite freezers, or in the case of the prequels, jumping left, right, centre, up, down, straight, jump, top, bottom, and it leaves a place for development with the Force users. This is probably the most, like, as I said, it puts you in a place of being under the pressure of the Force, and it really gives the Force substance in a way that it's never had before, which is really exciting and definitely fits with the title and kind of fits for a new generation. I think the acting was really well done, the music is amazing, as I said, the directorial choices were really well done. I think it will satisfy people who are hurt by the prequels, fans of the originals, and leaves a lot to be explored and can be jumped into from a new viewer, but as always I would recommend watching the original 3. But yes, it leaves a lot exciting stuff to go forward. And yeah, I don't know if I've said anything useful at all, but that's my sort of review thing. Ah, la 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 la. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Feel free to comment, try and keep it spoiler free, or at least don't spoil anything that I haven't already spoiled, or at least put a spoiler warning tab down so people don't read it directly when they come into the chat. And yeah, movie reviews, long time coming. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys all very soon. Bye guys.